Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. Today, I'll be responding to the letter. Yes, that letter making rounds on social media from KK Amoah. This is with all due respect. Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. Today I'll be talking about KK Amoah's letter. Yes, I'll be telling Ghanaians the lies he told in his letter. I will also be taking some few minutes to clear the air on these lies spreading on social media, letters or documents from Charles Darko about the transaction between his company, EOCO, and Just Gold Company, which belongs to Ade. Now, let's start this show. This is a document, the 5-page document, which was circulated by Amir Debra's website, the blogger, and it is supposed to be coming from Charles Darko and his transaction with Ade, who owns Just Gold. I'll also be reading the letter of KK Sapon. I'll be responding to his letter, a letter which does not have any letterhead, it does not have any contact. I wasn't supposed to respond to it, but I will, because if it is coming from him, I'm going to expose the lies he deliberately said in his letter. But first, let's start with Charles Darko. Yes, but as you can see my friend here is Ankomah. The reason why his picture is here is simple. I just want to tell my friend, Annan Ankomah, that I have sent him 10 questions. 10 questions, and I expect him to answer those questions. I'm still waiting. After he answers those questions on his law firm's letterhead, we can now take the next step, which is to meet in court. So Annan Ankomah, your picture is here just to remind you that I'm still waiting for you to respond to those questions. They are critical questions, and I don't think you want to miss answering those questions. Now, producer, can you put Charles Darko's picture here? Yes, because it's about Charles Darko and also KK Amoah. Perfect, thank you. Now, I will start with Charles Darko. Now, before this issue started, we all know about the issue of Charles Darko, how he received $10 million from Just Gold. Now, you have to understand that EOCO Limited, which belongs to Charles Darko, is a Ghanaian company. And Just Gold, which also belongs to Ade, the Nigerian, is also a Ghanaian company. So these companies are they are easily accessible if we want to do a background check on them, how they receive their monies, how they distribute their money, or they use their money in business. So for the EOCO, the FIC, the Ghana Police, the CID, when they want to check on these two companies, their money, their transactions, it should be the most easiest thing, because they can just address the Registrar General, they can just go into their businesses and just do a lot of investigations to find out how they do business. The first letterhead of the document Charles produced was on the 20th of November 2017. Charles said that it's an offer letter to sell 6 executive type houses at Fancy near ANC shopping mall. And when you look at the document, you will see that the letterhead is totally wrong. In their rush to come lie to you Ghanaians, they failed to even spell developer right. Yes, they couldn't even spell developer, but that's not the problem. Now, if you see the document, they have 6 houses listed there. House number 9, house number 10, house number 11, house number 12, house number 13, and an apartment which cost $1.2 million. Now, the second document is a receipt, because after Ade's company, Just Gold, paid Charles, they were supposed to issue them a receipt. Now, look at this document. Look at that. If you pay $7.8 million to a company buying 6 houses, and you are issued this piece of shit, this piece of toilet paper, yes, and if you are issued with this piece of toilet paper as a receipt, are you going to take it? The third document, which is dated the 8th of February 2018, is from the Bank of Ghana. Now, this third document from Charles is totally a lie. Let me tell you. You see, when you go into the contracts, it states that Charles actually paid, or EOCO actually was paid $7.8 million. Yes, at a dollar rate of 5.4 those times, and which is the equivalent of $7.8 million is 35.1 million Ghana cedis. That was how much Just Gold owed by Ade paid EOCO owed by Charles. And the funny thing is, in the Bank of Ghana document, which you can have here, the Bank of Ghana document says that MenzGold actually transferred an amount of 23 million Ghana cedis. So what is the equivalent of 23 million Ghana cedis? And it's an obvious fact, it is not 7.8 billion. So COTCO and MenzGold are stating different monies, and Bank of Ghana, which is supposed to be the legit source where Charles took the money, is stating a different figure. And you know the funny thing, in all this, EOCO, FIC, Ghana police did not investigate, did not push further. You know, during this time, Charles was invited, because when they saw the money reflect in his accounts, they halted it, they freezed it, and Charles was called to EOCO to come answer questions about that money before he'll be given that money. And that an investigation was opened. An investigation, when it was opened, the charges were money laundering and tax evasion. It does not end there. Now, after this, just 30th May 2018, MenzGold says that they are not interested in buying the house again. So, the money should be refunded. Yes, they are not interested. So, they wrote a refund acknowledgement, meaning they didn't buy the house again, and Charles' company, that is COTCO, this company, had already refunded the money. So, they sent a refund acknowledgement letter to them. This is the letter. And the funny thing is, this letter doesn't have any address. It doesn't have any email. It doesn't have anybody they can track. It's just a letter saying that refund acknowledgement. So about $35 million was sent back. Yes, that money was sent back to Ade's company without any official email, any official nothing. And they expect us to believe this nonsense. So, in a nutshell, I would like to tell Ghanaians that all the documents Charles showed through Amel Deborah's website is a lie. It was cooked up to divert attention. Now, let's go to the main issue. Now, this is supposed to be a letter that was written by KK Amoah. Yes, a man who was the former boss of EOCO, an intelligence organization. Now, this letter has no letterhead. Yes, this thing he wrote. I call this thing a piece of trash. I normally call them the KVIP papers because he's using the same tactics as his nephew, Ace Ankomah. They are trying to use these tactics because they don't want to be questioned when they are sitting in the law court. Because they know this will be dismissed at any law court. They don't want to be associated with it when they are confronted. They are the ones barking about going to court every day. Now, I'll start with his letter, and I'll start from the third paragraph. He says that, to my recollection, on or about 16 February 2018, one Charles Darko was arrested for money laundering, following a report from the Financial Intelligence Center, which, contrary to Kevin's falsehoods, is an independent statutory body and not part of EOCO. Now, he goes on to say that the FIC had frozen the account into which certain monies had been received. Although Charles Darko claimed that the money he had received was from a company called MenzGold. He said Charles said that it was from MenzGold to purchase houses from him. I don't know where he say who is the we, if it is EOCO or is the FIC. We were not convinced and therefore charged him with money laundering and tax evasion. He goes on to say the High Court convicted him of tax evasion but acquitted him of money laundering because, as the court held, there was no predicate offense. Upon his acquittal, he applied to the court to remove the FIC's freezing order over his account. Don't forget that in my first expose, I told you EOCO, in their own wisdom, actually gave Charles Darko a lawyer who could make sure that this guy gets his money from the court. And that lawyer is Augustine Obo. Do not forget. Now, at this point, I would like to ask KK Amoah, as the head of EOCO, who charged Charles? Yes, who charged Charles of the crime? Because at this point, we want to know, was it EOCO or it was FIC? Because you have said emphatically in your statement that the two entities work differently and have different powers. Now, I would like to also ask you again, KK Amoah, that why didn't you proceed? Why didn't you proceed to investigate Charles? and his company after even the court said he could access the money, because as an intelligence agency, your work is to make sure that if somebody is a suspect in such a case, you still go behind the scenes and make sure that the money he's taking, he's using the money for the right thing. And at this point, he's taken almost $10 million from a Ghanaian company belonging to Ade, Just Company, Just Gold. So why didn't you go further to investigate this guy? And mind you, EOCO KK Amoah, you knew about Charles before this incident. Charles had been involved in several money laundering issues involving cocaine and so many things. So this guy was an A-list suspect on your table. But why didn't you go further to investigate this guy? Now let's go on. In paragraph 4, this is what he said. I must emphasize that no 600,000 or any part of it was paid to me. I am also not aware that any such payment was made to anyone in EOCO. Also, the allegation that it was EOCO that introduced Charles Darkun to lawyer Augustine Oboah is false. This is what you say after that. Indeed, in the course of our investigations, it was in the course of the investigation that it emerged that lawyer Oboah had been Charles Darkun's lawyer for several years before the arrest. This confirms what I said in the first expose, that you handed over Augustine Oboah to Charles Darkun as his lawyer. You know the reason? You arrested this guy. You interrogated this guy. He's the CEO of a company that is involved in a $10 million deal. You didn't ask if he has a lawyer to talk for him. But during the investigation, when you're about to take him to court to go clarify what he was going to use this money for or who this person is, suddenly you get to know that Augustine Oboah is the lawyer of Charles Darkun. Now, this is what you said. You said, my office wanted to confirm this information and so contacted National Security, which after investigations confirmed that he was indeed in Dubai and under arrest. It was after this that a government delegation of 2 ministers traveled to Dubai to meet Nam1 and the authorities there. He went on to say that upon their return, they reported that Nam1 had been arrested on the basis of an allegation by a company called Horizon. This is the first time you are stating Horizon here. In Dubai, which claimed that they had been defrauded in Ghana by one Ade. Ade's name has shown up again. The report also mentioned Charles Darkun's name. So you had an official report on your desk stating the 2 criminals, the 2 fraudsters, and you know them. Your office knows them. They have records on them. You have records of their company, how and when and who is behind all that they are doing. You have in fact investigated these guys before. But still, you denied. You ignored the issue. You didn't bring these guys in. You didn't lock them up. Because at this point, they are prime suspects. KK Amoah, this is your own statement. Then, we began investigations and arrested Charles Darkun, who denied any connection with the matter. So after Charles came into your office with his lawyer, you gave him Augustine Oboah and said that I don't know anything about this. The EOCO, the FIC, the Ghana Police Service said, thank you, Charles. You've done nothing wrong. This is absurd. This is the highest form of negligence. KK Amoah, you were supposed to be fired that day. You knew the company had filed a case in Ghana through a certain lawyer who is your nephew. And so you knew about this. But you decided to ignore it because, you know, Charles is a friend to Gabi Ochredakun. Charles is a scammer who finances this current government. You knew that Ade is a friend, a personal friend to Tiwa Adodankwa. Yes, and it is a fact. Ade is a friend to the CID boss. That is why every case that went to the CID, the docket was closed. It never came out. Today, I'm telling my fellow Ghanaians, the CID boss has to come out and answer questions and say that she never knew Ade. You prove to her that she knows Ade. And Ade is her friend. That's why anything that is connected to Ade ends up at the CID office and never comes out as anything good. Now, this is what you said, Mr. KK Amoah. And it's your own statement. I didn't write this. You wrote this. And I'm reading it to you. And I'm telling you that you are lying. It says that our investigations then confirmed that Horizon had made a complaint to the Commercial Crime Unit of the CID. We contacted the CID headquarters who confirmed the complaint and that it was under investigation. the handwritten complaint and documents submitted by Horizon said nothing. It said nothing about Nam1 and his company MenzGold. So at this point, KK Amoah, you knew that Nana Appiah Mensah, you were chasing around and going to Dubai and asking Gabi and the rest in government to put an Interpol on this boy. He wasn't the one who defrauded Horizon Company. You see, you went on to say that our investigations then confirmed that Horizon had made a complaint to the Commercial Crime Unit of the CID. Then you said we contacted the CID headquarters who confirmed the complaint and that it was under investigation. Now, the handwritten complaint and documents submitted by Horizon said nothing about Nam1 or his company MenzGold. This is your own statement. But then I want to ask you some simple questions. You see, in your statement, we started by saying that you knew about this case from 16th of February 2017. Now, your nephew is Ankomah, who was the lawyer for the Horizon Company that came to Ghana to lodge a complaint to the police, said that he knew about this case. His client contacted him between March 2017 and April 2018. Now, the issue is, it means you knew about these issues a month before, or maybe 2-3 weeks before your nephew got to know about it. Now, I'd like to ask you, around this time, did your nephew, Ace Ankomah, ever talk to you about his clients from Dubai? And did he mention the names of the clients to you? Because it sounds like you knew something about these clients. Now, I would like to also ask you, KK Amoah, were you the one who actually directed Horizon Company, or was your outfit the outfit that actually directed Horizon Company to your nephew? Because you knew that Charles and Ade were people of interest. And if your nephew gets to handle that issue, you can drag it to make it a useless case. Just a question I'm asking you. I also want to ask, KK Amoah, did you know, or did you in any day discuss the details of this report to your nephew, Ace Ankomah? Boss, I am reading your own letter to you. I am not making anything up. I'm reading it to you and I'm telling you the truth. You are hiding from the people. Now, this is what you go on to say in your own letter. You said, this was the state of affairs when I left EOCO. I am aware that the matter is still under CID investigations, that there is a warrant for the arrest of the person called Ade. And that Charles Darkon has been arrested, granted bail, and been reporting to the CID office. I showed documents of Charles Darkon and his transaction with Ade, Just Gold CEO. These documents were released, and the report that came with this document and the information we have now is that Charles Darkon is out of the country. Yes, he is not in Ghana now. So who actually allowed this guy to leave Ghana? And I'm surprised that even though in your report you realize that Charles and Ade are criminals who have duped some people in Dubai, a company that your nephew is their lawyer, you refuse to just put an Interpol alert on Charles. You still treated Charles as a petty thief. Charles is a homegrown criminal, and you know it. He's a fraudster. But you never, and your friend Gabi Ochirako never came to his Twitter to say that, oh, a report just came in and that my friend Charles, who is a sponsor of my uncle's party, has been named in it and that an Interpol should be placed on him. He never did that. You hid this from the public. And I would like to ask the CID boss, and I have information that Tiwa Adamkwa, your very good friend, is Ade. That's why issues about Ade, anytime it gets on your desk, it disappears, it fizzles out. What I'm going to ask the CID boss is that, please, are you a friend to Ade, the Nigerian fraudster? Mr. KK Amoah, there's a lot of questions I could ask. But now today I'm going to direct my question to a few people. Now, I also would like to ask, yes. Now, the new EOCO boss should be able to tell us or show us that the case that was filed in court against Charles Darkon, that case that said that Charles has evaded tax and that he was a money launderer and he was cleared. We would like to see that report. We want to know what was the basis for this guy to be cleared of all those charges. Now, I also want to ask, and this goes directly to the EOCO boss, the current EOCO boss, that Can you tell us the status of that investigation? Yes, the investigation you said you are having on Charles and Ade. We would like to know the status. Tell Ghanaians where you are on that case. I also like to ask, let's know the status of the case at the CID headquarters. And this question goes to the CID boss, Tiwa Adedankwa. We would like to know the status of this case, the case about Charles and Ade, the money laundering case. And you said he has been arrested, he's been granted bail. We want to know the status. How far with that case? I also have another question. When did Charles leave town, and who actually gave that order for Charles to leave Ghana to London to go treat his spine? Because for what we know, he's a first-class criminal and he does not have to be given that access. As we speak, this guy is enjoying himself in London, telling people that he's going under operation. He's not. But I would like to know, it's a simple question. Who made sure that Charles got that access to leave this country? I know you created a Ankomah for the people to think he's the angel. You have touched a product that you thought it could never be touched. And I'm not done yet. I am coming after every single person who was involved in this crime. And we'll make sure that the people of Ghana, ordinary citizens like myself, we get to the bottom of this. We are chasing the money. And I would like to tell Ghanaians, be focused, chase the money. Forget about the distractions and the release statements. If they really want to release an official statement, they'll look in the camera, they'll come out with letters, with statements, which has letterheads and also contacts on them. Be focused, my fellow Ghanaians. Let us look at the issue. Let's not be distracted by these people who think that when they get the opportunity to sit on TV, they are the most wisest people on earth. My fellow Ghanaians, I am not here. I have told you, I am not here on this show to disrespect anybody. I am just a messenger who does not have a Quran or a Bible in his hand. I am just a messenger who is ready to speak truth to power. Ladies and gentlemen, my name, again, is Kevin Ekow Taylor. And this is With All Due Respect.